Welcome to Girl Talk with your host, Melissa Ann. Girl Talk is that show which discusses the real issues Black women face being a mom, a dad, a wife, a girlfriend, a sister, a co-worker, a therapist, or whatever hat Black women wear on any particular day. Why? Because Black women are just dope. Without further ado, here is your host, Melissa Ann.
Welcome to Girl Talk with your girl, Melissa Ann. Man, what an exciting podcast we have today. We have an awesome woman, strong Black woman, Michelle Weathersby, who is going to talk to us today about hiding behind the mask. Man, what mask are you hiding behind? This is going to be an awesome conversation. And Michelle, I'd love for an opportunity for you to introduce yourself so that we can go ahead and jump into the conversation.
Hey guys, so my name is Michelle Weathersby, and like Melissa said, we're going to talk about hiding behind the mask because we've all done it. Some of us, we continue to do it. A lot happens in corporate America, that happens within our community. It even happens at places of worship. So this is just going to be really interesting. And believe it or not, if you're married, you might be still behind a mask and how to unveil the real you. So I'm excited. So Melissa, let's take it away, girl.
Okay, yeah. Michelle, let me tell you something. I really am enjoying your energy. So I'm glad that we're having this conversation. So when we talk about hiding behind the mask, every woman might have a different definition of that. What basically what you just said, whether it's in your marriage, at work, with your family, what is your definition of hiding behind a mask?
So my definition of hiding behind a mask is not being your true self, or you're not bringing your complete self to a different or an environment or to a certain situation. And we're doing this because we want to satisfy others. And sometimes we believe that they may not really enjoy or appreciate a part of us. And so, of course, this comes from the way that we grew up. This comes from social media. This comes from TV that we watch. And then if we're in corporate America, we're watching executives and senior management, and we hear what they're saying, and we're hearing like, oh, that's acceptable. That's not acceptable. So again, we're really trying to fit within a certain space. And so one of the ways that we do that is we bring a mask forward so we can be liked. Nobody doesn't want to be hated. Well,
Right.
some people do. That's how they make their money, girl. But for the most part, right? We don't want to be hated. We want to be loved. And with that, there's a lot of pretense behind that, which can be, especially for women, extremely exhausting.
Yeah, it's mental baggage that we carry each and every day when we go to work, because you're having to take on these different personas. And, companies say bring your whole self to work. You don't really want me to bring my whole self to work, right? You want the parts that's going to benefit you. So, a lot of times, especially in my writings, I talk about, okay, well, I can't even wear my hair in the natural state that it comes in because it may offend someone, right? Or if I become passionate about a particular topic at work and I'm defending myself, then that's another label. So what what have been some of your experiences?
So, like you, in my writings, I've written a couple of books, and one of them is called Code Switching, in
Ooh,
Black America. And so the follow up on that is executive Black executive president presence in corporate America. And so you mentioned the hair. It's like when we hear about microaggressions, like, oh, I want to touch your hair. Why are you touching my hair? Isn't that sexual harassment? Step back. It's like, why you got to touch my hair? What does that have to do anything about me being in a meeting? that
right.
that that your focus is on my hair, your focus is on my earrings, your focus is on my shoes, your focus.
Lipstick.
Yes, it should be can Michelle do the job? If Michelle can do the job, that's the only thing that my focus should be on. And that goes for men and women. And so, how do you bring that into your job? So, I'm going to speak first for corporate America. It all depends what type of game you want to play. So if we do want to get into that executive space, and I talk about that, let's get up into that executive space. And once we up there, then we can knock the doors off the hinges and we can really bring people in who can really bring their full self or full, obviously, professional self. Because just like any atmosphere, just like any environment, that there is some type of protocol, of course. Like when you go into the club, you're not all buttoned up when you go to the club. You a little loose, you're looking cute. You know what I'm saying? You don't have that same vibe when you go into corporate America. It's like you have to, there are certain foundational rules, but beyond that, we want you to bring yourself. If you're not comfortable with that yet, build up to it. Whatever that is, maybe you do want to have the cute shoes. Build up to that and just have a regular suit on. If you want to wear the hoop earring, which I don't understand the hoop earrings, but sometimes they look at the hoop earrings and they might think, oh my gosh, she's loose. I was like, I didn't know hoop earrings could do all that. I was like, if it
So
could do that.
so expound on that. You do like hoop earrings, you don't like hoop earrings.
Oh, I love hoop earrings. What? Are you
Okay,
kidding me?
okay. Yeah. Because I'm from New York. We wearing hoops all day long. So
See?
I love me some hoops, but I've found that I'm wearing them smaller, and sometimes I'll go out and if you can't really see them, I'll wear them a little larger. But I do that because I was called out on my hoop earrings, like in public in a corporate setting, and someone moved my hair in a meeting with a ton of people and showed my earrings, and everyone busted out in laughter. From that point on, I was like, okay, well, I guess that's not professional. But professional to whom?
I love that. Professional to whom? So me, I do not like studs unless they are what, like 10, 20 mm's around my ears, really look cute, and they diamonds, right?
Right.
Other than that, I don't do studs. They just don't roll with me. But like you said, you decided based off of what was said, obviously you were uncomfortable. When I say that, there is no judgment there. But you decided that if I'm going to reach from point A to point X, and they're talking about my hoop earrings, then I need to bring it down a size. But if I don't care, I'm going to continue wearing my hoop earrings because I'm comfortable with that. And they were uncomfortable for whatever reason. They were just uncomfortable with it. And that's one of the questions where, again, we come across like, why are you so uncomfortable with me? Like right now I got all this energy and people are like, oh, you're so aggressive. And I'm like, but you never say that about John. He high fiving the guys. Oh yeah, man, X, Y, and Z. But Michelle come in high five. They be like, what's wrong with her? And don't ain't she got work to do? Or don't she have work to do? Of course I do. But I'm a social person. I say hi, what's going on, and I send out and I do my job. That does not negate me reaching and meeting my deadlines. So again, it all depends who's the boss. Whoever's the boss, they're the one who makes the rules. And until you're the boss, then you can change the rules. And if you're not the boss, you got to abide by any rules with, again, whatever environment that you're in.
And that goes back to you still, because reality is we're not sitting in those spaces like you said earlier, right? So we're still going to hide behind the mask of who we really are until either we change the mindset of those people that are sitting in those seats, right? Or we have the mentality of I'm just going to be me and they accept me for me while I do my work. Doesn't always pan out that way. And honestly, this is a whole new a whole new show. Like when people get up into those seats that look like us, they ain't necessarily bringing us with them.
That's right. As my kids tell me, and they call me a boat rocker, right? I'll be out there rocking that boat, girl. And they're like, there's too much water coming into the boat because I had enough. I look at my kids and I'm like, this supposed to have been fixed when I got in corporate America, and these shenanigans are still going on. So what do we need to do about it? So it was one group that I was a part of. And so, and you know which group that I was a part of, so I'm not going to say the name. And I created the Black Professionals Network. So, if you guys look that up, then you'll figure it out. So anyhow, so when I was creating this group, it was created because I got into corporate America. I looked at the org chart and I was like, where are all the Black people? Where's all the
Mm-hmm.
executives? Where is this? Where is that? And I was like, we need to create a group to put a spotlight on people of color. And so I was told, it was like, hey, if you make this group, people gonna feel excluded. And I was like, it's too late. We already feel excluded. And
Right.
so I was told no, and that you can't create the group. And I said, I hear what you're saying, but again, I told you I'm a boat rocker. I went right up to corporate and I said, how come we can't have this? And I said, and this is the reason why we're having it. So I just didn't say, oh, how come we can't have us as Black people? Y'all treating us bad. No, I had to come with an agenda of why it was needed. And because I was able to have that data behind it, then they were like, oh, great, we got it. But that was great for that end. But just like our people, see, we have to change that mindset that we have. That our people was like, well, Michelle, why'd you create this group? I don't want to be a part of a group who's going to create an uprising within corporate America. I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? I was like, that is not what the group is for. So I was getting it from both sides. So I was getting
Yeah.
it both from the non-whites, and I was getting it. Well, I'm sorry, I was getting it from the blacks, and I was getting it from with other than black whites, non-whites. Of why do you have this group? You're making us feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I say it again. It was too late. We already feel uncomfortable. Again, looking at that org chart, there was nobody who was an SVP, or the first SVP that they got was this lady who was in a junior role, wasn't even a manager. And a year before she retired, they made her an SVP. So they could be like, oh yeah, this person worked here for 25 years, and she was one of the SVPs for 12 months. That don't count. You knew she was retiring. So it's crazy, girl. It's just crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
So what do what do you think are some of the steps to remove the mask? I mean, and a lot of it is fear because people want wealth too, right? We want generational wealth. We want to build legacies. So we will stay behind those masks because we want to be able to have jobs. We want to be able to feed our family, but be able to retire comfortably. So they're not all boat rockers. We're not all boat rockers like Michelle, right? So what are some of the baby steps people can make? What are some small changes, we can make as a community to remove the mask and feel more free?
That's really, really good. So one of the first things is most definitely understand that your job will not create wealth for you. So, you might be making 125,000, 150,000, honestly, how do you fit that in that that's going to give you wealth? That's not going to give you wealth. It's time to step out of that. That is to help to fund whatever your wealth project is. So I need to say that again.
Yes, you
So
do.
your 9 to 5 is to help fund your wealth project or projects. One of the small things you need to do is give yourself a deadline of how long that you are going to be in that corporate space. All
Uh-huh.
right. And so with that, then you begin to think of like, well, what am I going to do out of corporate America? What would you love to do if money was no object and it's just easy? What is that thing that people say, you know what? You do that so easy. Like, it takes me this, that, and the other, and they're willing to pay you for it. And you can
Right.
do it like that. And so right there's where I came into effect of, the HR space, helping people with their LinkedIn profiles, helping them with their resumes, strategic coaching sessions. It's like bringing whatever your strengths that you have out of you and putting it on paper. That's easy for me. Some people, they don't like to talk to folks. They're like, "Ooh, I don't know how you could do that." If you're a coder, you're like, Michelle, I just came out of college, but I love the code. Make up an app. Do you know how many
Right.
apps are out there? The opportunities start with your friends, start with your family, and tweak those apps. I met this young man the other day, and he was like, I'm creating a platform just like Zoom, because we know Zoom is just inundated. He was like, I'm doing it. So he tried it out on me. And I was like, that's not working. That's not working. It was, he was tweaking it and getting the bugs out. Guess what? I could see this app, and it was really, really good. A black man. I could see this app, going and hitting different groups within 3 months. Again, once everybody is on this platform, different people are on this platform, this is where his wealth begins to be nourished and created. Okay.
Right.
And so if we're not thinking outside of that, and some of you like, Michelle, I don't want to do a job. I just want to have a job. I don't want to have my own business. And so going back to, well, what are some of the steps? Make a list, have your vision board, and really think about how this job is benefiting you to first reach your targets and reach your goals. And just do it no more than 3 to 5 years. If you don't see yourself moving several steps up, it's the wrong job. Okay?
Okay.
It's the wrong job. It's time to, and I've seen it time and time again. People leave a business or leave a company, come back 2 years later, and they're promoted 4 to 5 levels up. Okay. If you got to go from one corp to another, you may be saying like, well, that looked like job hopping. I'm going to tell y'all what, other folks do it and they making bank. Okay. And it's time to get out of that fear. But
That's
again,
what I was going to say. It's
yeah.
fear. Fear. How
Hmm.
do you get yourself out of fear to say, okay, I am using this as a tool for whatever it is my passion is, but you have a fear of, well, what if it doesn't work and I can't pay my bills? We have that fear instilled in us. And I guess it's instilled from us, from young kids, right? Like your parents always had steady work. When I think back on it, my mom really was an entrepreneur. She cleaned houses, but she didn't look at it that way. She was looking at it as she was putting food on the table along with my dad, or making sure I had things that were out of reach for her, but I didn't care, being selfish, right? But but I think a big part of what you said encompasses a lot of fear. And then again, that mask. What are people going to think about me if I decide to be a podcaster? What are people going to think about me if I become a consultant and I fail? A lot of that is like you said, fear. So how do you get out of that fear pocket? Because you've done it.
Yes. I do a lot of stuff fearful. I have
Mm-hmm.
to. And we have to understand that everyone will not like us. It is what it is. I don't care who you say, what you say. I mean, just think about it. Just found out what Kanye West is worth, I think $6.8 billion.
Billion. Yep.
Do you know how much flack that guy get? He be like, "And I'm worth 6.8 billion. What that whatever you say, don't take away from that money, right?"
Yeah, you
And-
know what I say to that? I always say, that's okay. He's XYZ all the way to the bank.
right.
Right. he.
No, and that's exactly what it is. I like the books that I wrote and the books that I have out there. It's like this is not for everybody. God has made us to attract or be attracted to other people for reasons. Other than that, there would be only one Tony Robbins. Okay.
Yeah.
There would only be one John Maxwell. There would be only one Lisa Nichols. There would be only one Oprah. Everybody don't like Oprah. Oprah don't care with her $1 billion self. She's like, whatever, right? She was like, that don't take away from my billions. Oprah, she has created different shows. Oprah has always been talked about. I've heard the horrible things that they've said about her physical appearance. I've heard what they talked about her relationship with her longtime boyfriend. That does not stop her from creating. That does not stop her from speaking. And yes, people are mean. People are just awful. But you know what? I'm going to tell you what. When I left the company that I left, and all of a sudden, folks were saying things about me.
Yes,
And so
ma'am.
and on LinkedIn, you could see, okay, so I know I'm telling this secret. On LinkedIn, I won't tell you, I won't tell everybody how, but I'll tell you later, Melissa, that you can see folks who've been looking at your information, folks who are following you, right? These are folks who are saying bad things about me. I don't know what they're saying now, but you know what? We need our haters. We need our haters. So when we step out and we see them, I mean, we be like, hey, what's going on? I mean, we all happy. Look at me now. You say I couldn't do, like you said, X, Y, and Z. Look at me. I'm changing people's lives. I'm helping
Amen.
people grow.
Yeah.
And if I thought that your opinion mattered, right? I wouldn't have done it. But God has instructed me to do what I needed to do to help others. And even within that this year, 2021, I am going to help 200,000 plus people reach their targets. That's going to help reach their goals. And that's through how to do your LinkedIn profile, resume writing, career development strategies, code switching. What do you need help with? Let's have a conversation, because you have people who need you and you're not in place. You got to get in place. You are that missing piece. Let's get you in place so you can help others.
Amen. You know what that is, if I were to say that was the word for today, it is come from behind your mask, but coming from behind your mask requires you to stop thinking about what others are saying. I know that that's always a sticky point for me. Why they not liking my post? Okay, well, it's because you ain't doing it. You upset because I'm doing it. So
Hmm.
sometimes that is a hindrance for people, not just me, but other people. It discourages people. It can be a discouragement when you put something up that you put your heart and soul and you put it out, and then social media says it sucked because I didn't like it.
Right.
But the biggest thing that we all have to keep in mind is the prize, the end game. And people who really want to follow you will follow you. You don't have to worry about the naysayers or the haters who are mad because they don't have the confidence to do what you, Michelle, are doing. They don't have the
Absolutely.
confidence to say, I'm helping 200,000 people. And sometimes they don't have the means to do it. They don't have the wherewithal to do it.
Right. Right. I love that. I love that. My pastor, absolutely, I love him and his wife. And one of the things he talked about us being lions and eagles. And so the eagle is like the king of the air, okay? And the lion, the king of the jungle. And if we're kings and queens and we are taking over our community in a positive way, why are we hanging around a bunch of turkeys and chickens? Okay. Cause can you follow me all the way up? Like you said, keeping your eye on the prize. I'm a keep soaring, and them jokers gonna fall to the ground trying to keep up with me. And instead of really investing in themselves, or saying, how come you flying so high? How come you not down here? An ego is not made to peck. Do you hear me?
Right.
Okay. I am
Right.
not a chicken. I eat some, girl. I just had me some air fried chicken wings and they were good. All right. That's what chicken's good for. I am not a chicken. I got
Right.
things to do. All right.
Right. And it's funny. That's an awesome analogy because even as the king of the jungle, the king of the air, as humans who are supposed to be not, the king of the world or queens of the world, we're afraid of those two entities, right? We're not going near an eagle and or a lion, right? Because we don't know what it will do to us. But first of all, when you see an eagle, I know for myself, it's like so majestic. Like you're like, oh my God, an eagle.
Isn't it
So if you
beautiful?
compare yourself to those things, man, how awesome is that? That was a great analogy.
Right. Right. And so I want us to really think about what mask are we bringing to whatever environment that we are in. When I in the book, when I talk about code switching, I even talked about growing up in Detroit, Michigan. I grew up in Detroit, and I was in a neighborhood that had two gangs in it. My parents, they had four girls, four boys. And so they were always trying to recruit my brothers, to carry the drugs. And so, of course, they were trying to recruit me and my sisters as being girlfriends, these drug dealers. And so my mom was a preacher's daughter, and my dad, he was a minister. So my dad, he wasn't going for them shenanigans. He was like, if anybody is going to punch you, when you do your initiation for the gangs, then guess what? I'm going to punch you out. You'd be like, man, like, really, Dad? And so the thing is that because we were in that type of like environment, he was just, he was really, really, both of my parents were really careful about how they taught us. Now, again, they taught us about God and the Trinity and stuff, and that was great. But how do I portray that when I'm in school? So in school, I had to do a whole lot of code switching because I watched the kids who talked about God and they got beat up, So I would go to school and I would talk that slang because guess what? I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be a part of the group. I wanted to be this. But when you're around something long enough, positive or negative, it begins to show. It begins to come out, but again, it's like, where are you? Where do you really want to be? What are you all about? What are your goals? And if your goals again is not at that place of employment, it's time to look, guys. And the best time to look for a job is when you have a job, because that way you're not running into a burning building like, oh man, it's the best job. No, take your time, look at the job, see it's a good fit. And again, when you have a job and you're able to do that, then you'll find a great job, but just realize this is another stepping stone. This is to help again finance your wealth projects.
Yeah. And I think, to kind of piggyback off of that, a lot of it is self reflection and looking inside of who you are as an individual. And like you said, I think the first step was creating a vision board, and then, making a list of where you want to be in the next 3 to 5 years. And then what would you say would be the third thing that people need to do? Because it's baby steps. We're not going to go into work tomorrow and be like, I need to remove my mask and I'm wearing hoops and I'm going to code switch. We're not doing that. What are the baby steps that we need to take in order to live in our full potential and live in what God has put you in? What's the person that God wants you to be?
That's good. So for corporate America, baby steps is first of all to ask questions. So really ask the question of ask your manager, and this will help you also to get an idea of how other people view you. Ask them, how do you see me? Do you see me a manager of people? And if they say, not really, you're like, well, where do you see me? What is the highest position that you see me at? And the reason why I ask that is they're not telling you what you're going to be. But usually in conversations, that is what they're portraying to other managers. And they're portraying to other managers of like, oh, I only see Michelle as an analyst. She doesn't do X, Y, and Z, and this is why I see her. Because we usually trust what our friends tell us, right? And so from there, you need to make a decision of, is that really me? Is that where I want to be? Because if that's where I want to be, it's fine. But if it's not where I want to be, then you ask the manager, well, I don't want to be that. I want to be this. So what are the steps to that? Because a lot of times HR has things laid out, and for the career development strategies, for this particular position, you have to, reach this within this amount of time. Ask them what the layout is. And believe it or not, there's some managers, they don't even know what it is. So they don't have your best interest at heart. Should they all the time have it? No, you should always have your best interest at heart. So you have to be proactive. And then also you need to let them know, I want to be manager of whatever that is, and I need you to help me get there. Again, this is setting their mindset, changing their mindset, letting them know that you want to grow. And either they're going to agree or they're not. And they're going to say, yeah, I don't know why you want to do all that because I don't see you there. Well, it's time for another manager. And that may mean another job within the company, or that just may mean another job. Okay. And you have to be realistic. And all that's hurtful. I'll be the first one to say, you be like, what? Where are you getting this from? It's this bias. It is what it is. But now you have taken control of, I heard it. Either I have support or I don't have support. Now, what do I need to do? And it's time to make that plan. And most definitely find support. You have your girlfriends who help you, your spouse, your sisters, your family, your brothers, whoever it is to help you reach those goals. Get help. It's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
getting help. Get
yeah,
help.
yeah. We live in silos. We don't. We talked about it earlier. We sometimes you're fearful of asking people for help because you don't want them to seem like you're struggling, or you don't really trust people. But that's a whole new show. I have a few very, 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 very wise mentors, and one said the same exact thing. Ask the question of where do you see me? If that person says they don't see you in a leadership role, believe them. You either have to leave or convince them, bring the data on why you think that you should be. Another wise mentor told me that you could love your job to death, love every aspect of your job. But if you have a bad leader, you have to go. You have to move on.
I agree.
And if you stay there, you're just gonna stay there and rot because the leader's not gonna move you, and you're just gonna be in a really bad predicament. So, with that said, Michelle, I gotta tell you, I could keep talking to you for another 30 minutes, but I want to ensure that you come back because I really enjoyed this. But I wanted to give you the opportunity to tell people about what you do, how they can reach you, and how they could grow from you.
Yeah. So Melissa and I, we met, I want to say like, what is it, 3, 4 years ago, really talking on this space about the mask within corporate America. And so what I do is, so one of the things that I do is I help individuals really make their professional persona stand out with career development strategies. And this is how to leverage LinkedIn, how to really have just a fantastic resume. When it's time for annual reviews, what to do way before you have your annual review, because it's like when you're having that meeting and the annual review, it's too late. It's a lot of times they can't change it. So really having those discussions and just really building leadership in there, because we all are leaders of something, but knowing exactly how far you can go is really, really important. So people can reach me. First of all, I'm on LinkedIn all over the place. Again, that's my platform. I call it my platform. I know LinkedIn might think something totally different, but that's my platform. And I could be reached at Michelle Michelle Weathersby Weathersby.com. Most definitely check out my books. Look at code switching. Like I said, I have code switching. I do training and sessions on that. And it's pretty much to help you get to the next level until you begin to make the rules. So when you're the boss, you make the rules, then you can really help others bring their authentic self within their organization. And
Where
so
can they find your books?
they can find my books either on my website at michelleweathersby.com, Or you could check out my books on Amazon. I have quite a few books and workbooks out there really to help with leadership strategies. Every 90 days, you need to have a strategy. After that 90 days, grab another book, another strategy. And that's what I'm all about, is helping people reach those targets that will help to reach their goals.
Well, I'm in. Awesome, awesome, awesome job. It has been a pleasure here. And I'm so excited for the listeners to listen to this podcast about removing your mask. And remember, I see you because I am you. And thank you for listening.
You have just listened to the Girl Talk podcast with your host, Melissa Ann. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Google Play. Until next time, remember, I see you because I am you.